I didn't like plan that. My alarm was set for 3 and I woke up on my own at 2 and I was like wide awake. And I'm the kind of person, if I wake up and I'm wide awake, I can make myself go back to sleep, but then I'm sure as heck not getting up when my alarm goes off an hour later. Like, I don't know what it is, but when I go back to sleep, like I've got to sleep for another 3 to 4 hours before I will like actually get out of bed. So either I get up when I get up or I regret it because I end up not getting up until like 8 or 9. So it is what it is. So this morning I had the energy, I got started, and then around 4, I started really losing steam and I took one of the energy sticks. I was like, this is going to get me through till the end of the Zoom. And I'm literally telling my husband, I said, I'm going to crawl in bed and in 5 minutes I'll be snoring. I'm just letting you know. So don't be trying to like touch me or nothing because we sleeping. Like I'm going to bed. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we are talking about mindset, signing distributors, mindset, boundaries, kind of all the things that encompass building a team and just really leading people. Because there's so much more than just putting someone into the system. And you guys that might be much newer, you may not realize what all goes into leading a team. But once you outgrow, I would say 3, 4, 5, 6 distributors that you're kind of all at one time, you start realizing how much you have to grow in order to lead those people. And something that I regret now is I was really mean to my enroller. I was always sassing her. I was always, I have no problem with people questioning systems and stuff. I think that that's healthy to be able to like challenge each other, but there's a respectful way to do it. And then there's like, when you interrupt the Zoom and start challenging the person talking because you think you're a know-it-all and you've been in the business for 5 days. That was me. I was a red, I was on fire, I was a green. So I knew all of the little technical stuff and my enroller wasn't a green. So a lot of times she would share things that were false and she should have been doing her homework better. But instead of like helping her, I would challenge her and very much like call her out on things publicly, which should not have been being done. So, sometimes you live and you learn. And you know what? Now God has given me my own distributors that do that to me. And there's a reason why I'm in charge of the Zoom and I have the mute all button on here. There are times when I get done and I get text message from a certain somebody calling me out on a few things. And I'm like, I'm right. Because again, I'm a green. This person's not. But she's on fire and she's working and we just kind of butt heads sometimes. And you're going to have that. Like by the time you get to diamond, you probably will have at least one of those. And a lot of times that one will become one of your really good leaders, but they have to learn to follow. You probably have to learn to lead a little bit better, lead with a little bit more grace, make sure your knowledge is correct, because sometimes as leaders, we can put our foot in our mouth. And then you have to learn to apologize because we're not going to be perfect. And there have been times I've had to get on a Zoom and say, hey, I know I told y'all this and I was wrong. Maybe someone told me wrong, but it was still my job to fact check that before I said it. And I didn't. So my bad, like I'm coming to you and I'm going to say, I'm sorry. And there's nothing else I can do about it. But I do hope you know that like I didn't do it on purpose and I will do better next time. We're actually going to talk about one of those things tonight. So the first thing I wanted to touch on really is mindset, because drop a 1 in the chat if you've ever had those days where it doesn't matter what your team is sending you, you're irritated and you just don't really like your team. Okay, I expect ones to be blowing up in there, otherwise you're lying. Or you are very, very, very yellow and you don't ever get mad at people. That's probably a thing. Not in my world, but that's probably a thing. So when you get up first thing in the morning and you grab your phone and that's the first thing that you're doing, it's a lot easier to have a bad day. It's smarter to get up first thing in the morning, do your journaling and your devotions and your meditating and whatever you call that morning time to set your own tone for the day before you get going. And I will tell you sometimes, like on Mondays, I let myself be a little bit more lax with that because usually Monday is a catch-up day for us, especially when it comes to housework, just because our weekends are always super, super busy with ministry. So this morning, again, I got up super early. Y'all, it's 7, I guess. I still have not journaled for the day, so I'm not going to. I'll journal in the morning. I can tell you by about 9:30, I was really struggling to like my child. Like, I was questioning all the things. I was like, why the heck did I choose to homeschool this kid? Like, where the heck is daycare when you need them? Like, she is just like me, and that's not okay because we have an attitude. And I had to like literally, first off, I asked myself, I said, what kind of personal development have I done? Because again, I may not have journaled, but that doesn't excuse me. Like, I've been at that point for 8 hours or so. Like, I should have been putting something into my mind while I was cleaning, or so I did my cycling this morning. I had done work at that point. Like, and up until then, I watched listened, but watched on YouTube a few homeschool videos, which are educational, not necessarily like uplifting or mindset, in if that makes sense. And I had listened to about 45 minutes of one of the Harry Potter books that I'm re-listening to. Nothing wrong with fiction. That's not self-development. So first thing I did is I put all that stuff away. I told Gloria, I said, hey, go play in the room for 30 minutes, like take a break from school. And while I sat here and I worked, I put on a Taylor Kaufman video. I don't know what she was teaching on, but there were a few nuggets that popped out of it. And I felt better pretty much instantly afterwards. I don't know how to explain it, but that's just something that when you're putting the self-development into your mind, people get on your nerves a lot less, I guess. Again, I don't even know the science behind it, but I know that it works. Another thing is making sure that you schedule your day. My day wasn't scheduled. So midday, I started feeling a little frantic because I had seen how much time had passed. And in my mind, I was questioning, like, have I really been being productive with this time? I don't know exactly where it's gone. And you start getting a little overwhelmed. You start feeling a little lazy. Maybe you haven't done as much as you think you should have done. If you have it on paper and you're able to see, I did this, 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 and this, like I have done what I could do with my time, you don't start feeling irritated because you're irritated at yourself and then you just take it out on other people. So if you can see the paper trail that you should be proud, not irritated, it's a lot easier for that emotion to carry over, just like it is for irritation. So those are really the things with the mindset. And a lot of times, new distributors are going to come onto your team and they are going to ruffle your feathers, especially if you get the ones that kind of act like know-it-alls, even though, again, they've been on the team for 5 seconds and they've signed one customer. Nothing wrong with that. But those of us who've been here 5, 6, 7, 8 plus years, we probably know the systems a little bit better than you. This is your turn, like your season, to step back and follow. So when it's your turn to lead, people will actually follow you. Because I guarantee you, if you're not a good follower, you're not going to be a good leader. That's something that I really had to learn the hard way. And I've rebuilt my diamond team multiple times because of it. So take the direction now. So when you have a diamond team, people actually follow you. Birds of a feather, guys. Like they don't say it for nothing. If you're a little brat on somebody's team, then probably you're going to get a bunch of little brats on your team. When it comes to signing distributors, one thing that I noticed when I started attracting the people that really vibed with me, I started liking my team a lot more. I started having less headbutting sessions with my team. And the way to do that is through branding. We've all heard your vibe attracts your top tribe. To be honest, I used to hate that saying. I used to look at it like, so you're saying if I have lazy people on my team, it's because I'm lazy. That's how I took it. In reality, you attract who you portray on social media. Because it's a social media business, you're not actually attracting who you are unless who you are on social media is authentic. So if you are somebody and you're posting fitness tips all the time and the fitness quotes and recipes and all the things, people that like those type of people are going to follow you. Therefore, that's the people you have on your page. Those are the people going to see your business posts. Those are the people you're going to cold message. And then they sign with you and they find out that you are a grandma that loves baking cookies and has never even like cut open a zucchini before. It's literally a bait and switch. How much vibing are you going to have with them when you get on Zooms like this to work with your team? You're going to have nothing to talk about and they're going to look at you like a fake. So then they're going to question automatically, what else is she faking? She's telling me she's making money with this business, but she also told me she portrayed like she ate zucchini noodles and homegirl don't even have a spiraler. Like, there's going to be some disconnect. If you're posting about all the homeschooling things because all you're doing is copying and pasting what I have, and then someone joins with you and you don't even have a kid, they're going to automatically look at you and be like, well, what else is she faking on Facebook or Instagram or wherever you work? The same with, there's a couple of you guys, and I'm just going to call you out without calling you out. You're always posting journaling tips and motivational quotes, and like your page looks like you'd be the most positive person ever. Yet you complain almost every single day openly in the team pages and the team chats. So when someone joins with you, because you're attracting the positive, awesome people, and then they join with you and they get irritated real quick because you're negative Nancy and they quit, and then you're like, well, that person's lazy and nobody works. No, it's because they're seeing all of your stuff in the chat and you just bait and switch them. So if I could tell you one thing about social media, it's be authentic. I've told you all this story before, probably multiple times, that I did used to fake it on social media because I thought that like the way to get distributors was to be the hot mess mom and show that I was relatable and whatever the other buzzwords were. Like, I thought I needed to post like Jade Hooper posted. I thought I needed to show up with, messy hair and no makeup and talk about how messy my kitchen was. And in reality, that was like not ever my life. Now, messy hair and no makeup, yes. You look at my kitchen and 9 days out of 10, there's not a dish in the sink because it annoys me and I'm OCD. So I like, that's not me. And you know what? I attracted a lot of hot mess moms. I signed a lot of hot mess moms, and I got real irritated at how much hot messiness was going on once I signed them and they didn't know how to freaking schedule their time. Or the kids were always screaming in the background, going crazy. I get it. We all have hot mess days. But if you're branding yourself as a hot mess mom, you probably should not be getting irritated at all the other hot mess moms. Just like I'm real OCD. Like, I talk about it a lot. That's part of my story. So I'm attracting people who are very punctual. So then if I show up and I'm always 10 minutes late to every single Zoom, and I'm not talking about even starting, because I get what we usually come on, say share with your teams, we're starting a couple minutes. But if I don't even get on the Zoom until 5 or 10 minutes late, I would quit my team. So all those people that I just attracted are definitely quitting my team. Again, that was one of the issues I had with my enroller. She was late to everything. And I was the one that signed with her. It was my fault. But I sure did want to quit every time. And I had a bad attitude at the end of every Zoom because it was late. It was a little bit messy. And that's fine. That was her brand. That was her. That was her being her authentic self. But if I fake that on social media and I'm attracting a bunch of people like that, then I have no right to get irritated at my team for being like what I told them that I was. So it goes a lot deeper than just, yes, Vanna was too. It goes a lot deeper than just the pillars that they talk about, because you have to show your personality, not just your hobbies. So I'm a homeschool mom. There's like 17 different kinds of us. It's not just a homeschool mom. You could be a fitness person and there's like 20 different types of fitness people. So whatever your brand is, like, put your personality in there. You don't have to be like every other, Instapot mom on Facebook. There's a lot of those. That's a thing, I guess. I bought an Instapot and I think I've used it like 6 times. Not my thing. But I did just order another air fryer because those are my thing. Though I'm probably going to like join some groups for those. So one thing I will tell you too with branding is it works is not your brand. Sprinkle in it works, sprinkle in the business, but there are, I don't even know, a couple 100,000 distributors. Your goal is to attract people to buy the product from you. If they wanted It Works, they could go to the website and they don't have to deal with any of us. So do you want them using you as kind of a sounding board and going and finding someone else, or do you want them sticking with you and sticking on your platform? A couple things. I'm going to flip my screen and kind of show you guys how I grow my market intentionally, because I do grow from host to post. Host to post is random. Like, you're going to have 25, 50 people that maybe 5 of them fit into your brand, and that's fine. I just signed a girl. I don't know if she's on here or not. I'm actually curious. I just signed a girl that, no, she's not, that she's someone I knew from my old life when I lived in New Mexico, like a long, long time ago. I knew her when she was a kid. And we were talking about homeschooling, and she had to do homeschooling for the pandemic. If y'all don't know, I'm an OG homeschooler. Like, I chose it. I can't even blame the government because I did this to myself. But there are moms that didn't. So if they complain about it, like, I give them a little bit of leeway because I'm like, you didn't even choose this. It's hard when you do choose it, let alone when you're thrown into it. And she's like, she's like, I don't know how to do 5th grade math. That's why I sent my kid to you. Like, why are you giving it back to me? I was like, right? Like, when my kid gets into high school, we'll be hiring tutors for that exact reason, because I am not smart enough to teach my kid calculus. I expect her to do it because she's going to be smarter than her mom, but I'm not smart enough to do it. All right, let me throw myself on Zoom real quick. Oh, crap. Just kidding. I might not be able to do this. It's asking for it logged me out on my phone, and I don't think I know my password. This is why I have everything saved in a nice little automatic thing. Let me see if it'll let me log in. Well, that wasn't it. All right, I'm gonna try 2 more passwords, and if not, I'm just gonna, oh, look, there we go. No, I don't want Face ID because it never recognizes me if I don't have makeup on. Like, super obnoxious. Okay. Oh, look, there we go. No audio, otherwise I will screech at myself, and I'm going to turn that camera off. Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen, because if you're gonna brand yourself, it is super, super important to be purposely adding people onto your page that actually vibe with your brand. Hosts, yes. So I'm going to show you real quick how I do this on Facebook and how I do it on Instagram, because this is a huge part of signing distributors that are like-minded, is you have to be able to sign the ones that actually go with your brand. So now this also only works if your page is branded. So if it's not branded, don't do this yet. Just figure out how to brand your page, and then you can, dabble in this. Otherwise, you're going to be spending a lot of time sending friend requests or following people, and no one's going to follow you back. Because if you are doing it out of groups like I'm going to show you, which is how I do my Facebook stuff, they're automatically going to go to your page, be like, why is this chick friending me? And then they're going to see nothing that relates to them, and they're automatically just going to ignore or delete. So you're just wasting time. So as you can see in the search bar, this is just a normal search bar. I just search homeschool. I click up at the top where it says groups. And then y'all see the 2 little lines with circles on the top right-hand side. If you click that, you can click on the bottom where it says my groups, and then show results. So this shows the groups I actually belong to that are homeschool groups. So all I'm going to do is click on the top one, and I'm just going to scroll down, and that post was in 2017. I don't know why that's up there. So there's only 1 like on that, 1 like on that. I'm basically going to scroll down. Okay, like this one, there's 15 likes on it. So I'm literally going to click on there, going to go to each person's page. Can't friend her. She doesn't, a lot of people in groups won't have friends on. Okay, I can friend her, and I'm going to go down and do that only for 5 people, because you friend too many people in a group and you will get kicked out. So I do 5 people. Then I go out of that group and I go into my next one, and I friend 5 people. I do that 5 people for 5 different groups. I've just sent 25 friend requests, all to people specifically in my niche. And what they're going to do, they're going to be like, who the heck is Tanya Johnson? They're going to go to my page, and you know what? If I had It Works Anywhere on my page, 90% of those people would be like, deuces, we're not accepting you. Because they're going to think I'm just another network marketer trying to make a sale from them. Now, most of those people will end up buying from me or joining, but my end result is to build my homeschool community, which I've been doing pretty well at. So if they never buy from me, they never order from me, but I can help their life somehow, give them some value, that's my end goal. And I know if I give enough value, that in turn, I'm going to get the value back myself in the form of sales, or people buying my planners, or buying my hoodies, or whatever the heck that they're looking at, or even just sharing my videos or hosting for me. So they're going to go to my page. Oh, look, the first post is a post about homeschooling. Then I have a video talking about parenting hacks that are failing your kids. Parenting, homeschooling related. Then I've got a picture of my kid talking about a teen activity we went on. And then I have the giveaway. Guess who's more likely to put their name in that giveaway and put a post up for me? Because I just friended them and they just looked at my first 3 posts and they're like, oh, like this chick clearly is a homeschooler. And then the next one is a business post because I still share those. I don't hide the business from my page. And then we've got something funny. And then we've got another video. And then I have something I stole from Kim that I thought was funny. So moms of teenagers are going to like this. Or even like Mandy's probably laughing right now. I can't see you. But she ain't got no kids. And she still finds it funny. So people just find stuff like this funny. And then I got a picture of my kid talking about how she's a drama queen because little brat thought she had to close her eyes to hand me an onion because it was going to make her cry. And then I've got a video. So I don't want to, that's weird just looking at myself. So all that to say, that's how I grow intentional on Facebook. Now, Instagram is a whole nother beast. I do not do like the follow, unfollow thing. I did at one point, and at one point I think it did work. But now that's not really a thing. And actually Instagram will delete you for doing it. Like completely suspend your account. So what I do instead is I actually do 2 different things. I do what's called a loop giveaway. And this legitimately, guys, like I'm not being dumb. It only works if you're branded. Because if you're not, what's going to happen is all the people are going to follow you and then immediately unfollow you when the loop's done. And I shouldn't say loop giveaway. I guess it's a loop, a follow loop is what they call it. Now I make this up myself. So I'm not part of somebody's loop. All I did was visit a few loop pages, kind of see how it was done. And I kind of copy and pasted what they were doing, changed it to my own info. And then I put a picture that talks about homeschooling. So what this does is people will save this post. They'll send it to their friends. Because the idea is every time you comment on it, like everyone has to go follow you. And so they don't do it on my page, which is awesome because I don't have all the clutter. They will take the post, post it on their own page. They'll message me and say, hey, can I get the graphic and the words, which is exactly what it says to do. They'll post it. Everyone that wants a follow back has to come follow me first and then comment on that other person's post. And then everyone on that post follows them. It's a little weird, but it works on Instagram. Now, the reason this only works is if you're branded is because no one is making them stay on your page. So it doesn't do any good if you get 50 people to follow you and all 50 leave the next day when the loop is done. But if you're doing a good job with posting and adding value, those people have no reason to unfollow you because they actually vibe with your content. Does that make sense? So that's the first way that I do it. And the second way is shareable posts. So this is one, like I said, I just made the graphic up on, what do you call it? Not WordBoard, Word Swag, I think. I don't know, some little like app that you can do this. So what I do is I search homeschool, because again, my brand. And then I click on tags. Homeschool has 5.7 million posts. And I'm going to stay on top. You see where it says top and recent? Stay on the top. You're going to scroll down until you find basically a quote. Quotes are what really do the best. So I don't see any right now. Okay, so that one didn't do very well. 153 likes. We're going to skip that one. You basically want to go down until you find one that does really well. That one's okay. Oh, wait. And if it's a quote that is specific to somebody, you give them credit. Like if I'm going to take this quote and Texas Homeschool Coalition made it up, I would give them credit for it. Now this one didn't. It's by somebody named Lindsay Bell. So what I would do is I would take this quote, type it up myself on my own background, and I would post it on my page because Texas Homeschool Coalition doesn't own that. So this one I did not make up. It was just a random quote. You can find it on Pinterest. Nobody is like tied to it. And I had 1,351 people like it. But more importantly, I had 48 people share it with their friends. 97 people saved it. And out of that, I had 42 new people follow me. I use repost, Alicia, if I'm going to give somebody credit. If it's something like this where there's no credit to be given because all they did was take it off Pinterest, I just retype it on my own background. Because the goal is to get people following you, not following all those people. So it's funny because Denise actually texted me yesterday, Denise Walsh, and she goes, girl, you were reposted. Because we randomly will chat about different like businessy type things. And I guess someone had posted me in a parenting group that she's a part of because her kids are a little older than mine and they're boys. So there's like different groups. We don't really butt heads in most of our groups. There's a couple that I think we're in, and I was like, LOL, I was like, a good repost or a bad repost? I'm reposted a lot. I don't mind the good ones because 2 days ago, if you guys have kids, you'll want to plug their ears for this. 2 days ago, someone reposted me of my video and said, basically, you fat hoe, I hope you're gangbanged by 40 men twice your size or something random like that, because they didn't like whatever I said in the video. And I was like, okay, like we're doing this. And I just ignore it because my husband and I just kind of laughed at it. But yeah, so it's not fun to be reposted in a bad way, but if you grow big enough, you're going to be. So you just kind of take it with a grain of salt. Yeah, legitimately, I was like, and of course they do it under a name and a page that doesn't have anything on it. And then they also emailed me a nice long page of what I needed to go do to myself. And I was like, okay, we're going to just block this person. So I still don't know who they are. But having said all that, those are two really easy ways to grow your brand on both Facebook and on Instagram. And then, okay, I'm running out of time. I don't want to cut you guys short. So I'm going to be real quick finishing this up. Because the last thing that I have is you want to be dripping the business and everything. Guys, I'm going to like step on some of y'all's toes because you don't want to do this because you've told me you don't want to do it. But live videos are a really, really good way to sign distributors. I always tell people let me see how to get out of this. There we go. I always tell people the way that I get the business to people, like usually get them interested, is through Messenger, and I seal the deal on my page. And you'll just have to go watch some of my videos to see how I do it, because I can tell you how I do it and it sounds real spammy, but like if you watch the video, there really is a flow to it. But basically I'll just throw in there like, oh, by the way, I work from home. If you want to do the same thing, like fill out the application. Or I don't know, you'll just have to watch it because that sounds like I'm plugging. But there really is a flow. Like wherever my notes are, I just like, okay, insert business here, and I kind of go off on 2 seconds and then back. And so people see that I'm like a real person. I insert my story into all of my videos. So I was teaching on parenting hacks yesterday, and I inserted in there something about working from home. I don't remember exactly where I did it, but it's called Invest, Learn, Teach, ILT method. You don't have to be smart about anything. Read a book, learn what the book says, go share the book with your audience. So if you don't have a brand and you're like, you know what, I really like personal development, make that your brand. Go stalk Ashley Mayfield. Personal development is her brand. A little bit of network marketing, but more so personal development. Guys, I guarantee everything that she's going live and teaching, she read in a book or listened to a podcast. She didn't make up 90% of that crap. Like, she didn't go to school for that. And even if she did, you pay to go to college so you can learn from other people who wrote textbooks. So like, I went to school to be a teacher. I have a lot of knowledge around teaching when it comes to teaching styles and learning styles and the Charlotte Mason method and all the different things. I didn't come up with any of that crap. I just read it in a book. And in my case, I paid tens of thousands of dollars to learn it somewhere. You're talking to me for sure. Girl, I ain't trying to call you out, but yeah. You've gone live a few times. But no, I'm not kidding you. Like, people see that you're a real person that way. They relate to, and you know what? You're going to be humbled the first few times because you're going to get off that video. 5 people are going to be lit. That's it. I did videos super consistent for a while. Savannah remembers. I would have anywhere from 3,000 to 10,000 views on each of my videos. I stopped doing live videos for about a year, pretty much. I did my first live video again sometime this month or last month. And I was like going hard, and I was like, I felt good about it because I've been doing this for a long time. I'm good at public speaking. I got off there and there were 12 people that had viewed that video. You know how much my ego was deflated at that point? I was like, dear Lord, I suck at life. No, that's how the algorithm works. I don't care how long you've been on social media. If you're not doing live videos, you're starting out from the ground up. And if you're not consistent, you're going to stay at the ground. Like I did the one yesterday and I was excited because it has over 50 views on it, because I know that I'm going to be consistently growing. And I'm not going to compare myself to what I was 2 years ago because I stopped doing them. But you know how I signed a lot of my distributors was off live videos. Tina came off of one of my videos. I think she's on here. Cheryl came off one of my videos. She's on here. A lot of my really strong distributors, Julie didn't come off my video, but Tina signed her. So she kind of came off my video. A lot of my strong distributors came off of live videos. That had nothing to do with the business, but I dripped the business. And the last thing I'm going to do is I want to share my screen one more time and show you how I drip the business in my stories, the business and the products. My stories, and you can do this if you're doing a lot of live videos. You don't have to be in your face with the products because people kind of look at you like a vlog channel at that point. So they want to go to your stories unless it's days like today where I didn't post super consistent over the weekend. So I think I have like 50 people in my stories, but 50 is still better than none when they're actively viewing you. So I'm just going to show you guys the last, 3 or 4 days of my stories. And then something else that I do that I will say while I'm pulling this up. My Instagram and my Facebook stories look exactly the same. I just know how to do the archive stuff on Instagram, like pull them up from days before. So that's what I'm showing you. But I do the same thing on Facebook. I just make the story on Instagram, share it on Facebook. The VIP page that we have, I seal the deal a lot within there. And I told you all I was going to have to apologize. That's what I'm apologizing for, because I dropped the ball a lot with posting in there consistently. I'm going to get better at it. I need to sit down and actually plan out the post for that page. Also, if 2 or 3 of y'all want to commit to posting once a week, let me know and I will make you admins and y'all can post in there. Because you guys have as many potentials in there as I do. So you might as well get in there and, share your story and share products and that kind of stuff. So we're going to go to, what day is this? I don't even know. We'll just start here. Okay. So this is a nighttime. I don't know, a few days ago. And I just talked about ending the night with some family games, nothing about the business, but I'm showing that I'm talking about homeschooling stuff. So this is a planner that I finished, the November edition. So I talked about that because again, that's part of my brand. Time management, talking about starting with my skinny coffee because I'm another pound down. Notice I'm not saying it works, but I sure did say skinny coffee. Talked about my daughter. We're doing cooking lessons. And that day was like a dump and go day because I had a lot to do. And she goes, Mom, we didn't even cook. We just put stuff in a pot. I was like, shut up, kid. That is cooking. Okay. When you're a mom, you will know. Like it is not always 35, 40 hours in the kitchen. And then welcome to the team. Guys, this lady joined the big team, April's team. I will go into the leader group a lot and pull the brand new people out and shout them out on my stories because people want to join a team that's growing. They want to join a team that's going somewhere. Go share the people that are joining, even if they're not specifically joining your team. And then again, talking about my kid and one of the little PR boxes that was sent to us. Look, now my brand is mom. I'm taking a super mom stick. You know how many people tell me they want to buy this and do buy it? And I don't have to be spammy because it literally fits inside my brand. And then the next day I did a video on, that is not a flattering picture, but it goes with the theme. I did a video on communication. And you know what? I sure did drip the business in there. And then we talked about Thursdays. We eat cookies for breakfast in front of the Halloween tree because I was not having a good day that day. So my kid was eating some cookie crisp, which I don't know if y'all have that in other countries, but that's like one of the worst things you can feed your kid for breakfast. And I sure did. And then I did like a devotion on my Facebook page. And I always, like 4 days out of 7, always make my coffee in the mornings and I show. And I just talked about this was a coffee. I'm lagging a little bit, so it's not this choppy on my actual story. But I talked about a snickerdoodle iced latte that I was making. And then I just kind of went through and gave the recipe, talked about how it smelled, talked about how I was the world's greatest dad. And real life, guys, I'm not a hot mess mom. That day I was. I literally, all my mugs were dirty. All I had was my husband's dad mug, so I used it. I'm talking about how it looked nasty, like when you're pouring it in there. And then if you'd like a 5-day sample pack, swipe up and comment snickerdoodle. You know how many people swiped up and commented on that? I don't know. There was a handful, but there were some. And I didn't even have to be salesy. I just went through my everyday life. Talked about how to make the coffee. I always put polls in there. The more polls and questions you have and the more people interact, the more visibility you're going to get. I was real, guys. It didn't taste that good. So I added more stuff to it. Like I don't even know. The recipe I got just wasn't good. And then, look, lunch break with some of my friends. I love, we can all make extra income in the 30 to 60 minute increments we have in between life and kids. And I put a poll and I had several potential distributors come off of that. Again, talked about another planner page from the November line that I finally finished. Talked about some mugs and stuff that I had finished and we're about to actually launch. There's the loop. So I'm getting people to follow me without having to follow and unfollow. And then conference. This was, conference day. We talked about conference kickoff calls for special breakfast. Guys, I didn't have to say, oh, my company has this conference every year and this is what we do. I had 2 people like, oh, what's conference? Like, are you doing something online, like leadership something? And I was like, oh yeah, I am. Like, it's with my company every year. And then I did a little video about the conference and then talked about, who knows what movie this is? Somebody drop in the comments. This might or might not have been my favorite movie when I was like 14 years old or 12, or I don't even know. I was little. I talked about writing out my schedule while listening to some Disney throwbacks. Like, don't judge. This is literally High School Musical from 2000 and something. Boom, making my coffee. And so y'all kind of get the gist of it. I just sprinkle in, there's some mom sticks. That was our little field trip that we took. This was today, I think. No, this was, today. Just kidding, yesterday. Did another video. Look, all my videos talking about parenting, time management tips. This was this morning when I was up at the butt crack of dawn. And then talked about doing my little spin bike and I'm listening to some music. Unicorn coffee. Talked about how it's my secret to my morning productivity. I had several people that they are interested in getting samples. Talked about my kids' math, because again, we're homeschooling. This is one of the girls that just joined our team, the one that I was telling you about I knew when she was a kid. Took a game break, nothing to do with the business. You guys see how I'm just literally vlogging my life? And guys, I don't even leave my house. My life is not fun. Like, my life is it's fun. I shouldn't say that. But it's not fun as in like, I'm not doing anything interesting. It's not fun if you're like watching me. Like, oh, look, you don't wash your hair and you stay in pajamas for 5 days in a row. Like, why is that interesting? But you make it interesting. I creep on Mandy's stories and I know she's sitting up in her van, probably not doing a whole lot other than working and drinking coffee. Like, she's not talking about how she's climbing freaking mountains and what's that thing when you like get on a zip lining or whatever, or like swimming with dolphins and crap. It doesn't have to be exciting to you because what you have, the other person doesn't have. So it's exciting to them. You can think you have the most boring life ever. I do. I don't ever leave my house hardly. And when I do, it's literally to like go on a child's field trip or to go shopping to like get dollar store crap. But I make a big deal out of it and I vlog it because that's what people like to see. People are just nosy. That's at the end of the day, they're nosy. They know you make money from home and they want to see what you're really doing behind the scenes. That's it. So I'm going to hand it over because I know we got some boundary stuff to talk about. And the one thing I will say about boundary, like I said, I'm going to hop off here and go to bed. Guys, don't feel obligated to text your team back right away. I don't like people at night because I've been up for a long time. So my team knows I typically am not answering you past like 3 or 4 in the afternoon if it's a difficult question. And you're going to wake up and be like, this crackhead texts me at 4 o'clock in the morning, because that's when I'm awake and that's when I like you again. So that's when I'm going to talk to you and be yellow enough that I am not running you off, but still be red enough. Like, I control my thoughts and control my mind a lot earlier in the morning for me. So y'all, who's going next? We did not plan this very well. I think Mandy, are you? Oh, Chelsea, go ahead.
I can go second. That way Mandy has more to spin off on too. All right. So I love the fact that you talked about lives in here. I'm just going to kind of reiterate a little bit. Same thing with me. I go live. I think that that's a great idea. I know a lot of us are nervous about doing that. I was too when I first got started. Honestly, I was super insecure when I first started this business, terrified of what other people thought of me, but I just did it anyways because I heard the same thing. When you go live, it shows people your personality. It shows people who you really are. And now I'm at the point where like my kids could be screaming in the background because I am that hot mess mom. Okay. Like I'm completely opposite and it's okay because I'm attracting other moms who are just like me and we have something to talk about when we're working together, you know? So, so it's okay that, you know, things are happening. People are saying that like they can have kids that are crazy and, they can still work this business, you know, that's what they need to see. Also conference touched a lot on branding yourself. How many of you guys were so excited about that? Can we like drop like a 320 in the chat or something? Guys, I was like,
it's 320 and not 420, ma'am. I know what you think.
So it was really, really good to see that. And I was so excited because there was a lot of girls on my team I know for a fact that benefited from them talking about it. I had a conversation with so many women on my team about just branding themselves and like coaching them and teaching them as a spin-off of like how they could specifically do this themselves. So it was a lot of fun to see that they took that out of it. And then they came to me and said, okay, well, does this work good? And I got so many good post ideas sent from my team. So like kudos to them for, you know, coming up with their own posts and like seeing how they could brand themselves. You guys are doing awesome. So conference, I talked about that. I'm super thankful for that. And then when I first started this business, I actually, had a really hard time signing distributors at first. And the biggest reason was because I was trying to be other people. Just like Tanya said, when she first got started, she did the same exact thing, just trying to be somebody that she wasn't. I compared myself to Tanya. I compared myself to our upline. I compared myself to April. I compared myself to Mandy. And I always tried to be like them. I tried to do things that they were doing, talk like they were talking. I was like, well, if it's working for them, then it's going to work for me, right? Same with Jade Hooper, Rachel Jones. You know, I just try to be like them. And I am like them in some cases, but other cases I'm not. And I wasn't sharing my true authentic self. So what happened was people would get on my team and they would think I was a certain way. And then when they saw that I'm literally a hot mess 24/7, they were like, oh my gosh, just like Tanya said, she was like 10 minutes late. I'm like, that's me. But when it comes down to it, people need to know who they're signing up with. And if they sign up with somebody that is like Tanya, but it's really you, and then they get to see you and you're like, not that way, they're going to be like, I didn't sign up for this. And that is going to drop people like flies faster than a fly swatter. Okay. Like dead serious. It's crazy how much you have to brand yourself and make sure that you're being 100% yourself. And I know for me, I was afraid of the judgment because I did come from a crazy past and I didn't want people saying that I was not the greatest mom the first 2 years of Bailey's life. And I was so nervous of what people would say. And I was so nervous of my family chiming in, and they did, because they do, you know, like everybody does. And no matter what, you're going to get judged. So why not just be yourself, right? They're going to judge you at the top. They're going to judge you at the bottom. So whatever you do in between is up to you 100%. I just started being like myself. I started sharing things, and I actually came up with these, I came up with 4 tips. Yep, 4 tips for you guys to, you know, just learn how to attract distributors who you vibe with, and also people who will actually work when they first get started, and continue to work with you. And you can continue to build that relationship, because that's just like they said on conference this weekend. They said it's all about the relationships. I can't even say that enough, that the reason why the girls are on my team that have been with me for 2-3 years are there most likely because they're why, but also because of the relationship and the bond that they built with me personally. And they wouldn't have been able to build that if I wasn't being 100% myself the entire time. So step number 1, when you're posting, making sure you're sharing your journey, making sure you're really talking about the good times and the highs, but you're also talking about the lows. You have to make sure that if you're going through a hard time mentally, you talk about how you went through that hard time and now you're trying to come out of it, or now you're pushing to come out of it. And how are you doing that? Because people need to know that they're going to go through hard times in this business too. They need to know that sometimes they are going to feel tired and they still have to show up, right? They have to know that they might have a lot on their plate sometimes. Life might be crazy, but guess what? You're still going to show up, because your paycheck's not going to show up for you if you don't show up for it. Also, don't, some days there's going to be days where you just don't feel like it. I have many days, like raise your hand if you have had a day recently where you just didn't feel like it. Okay. Yep. Me too. Okay. So I have to share that. And I share that a lot on my story. I'll go through and I'll just take a snippet video of myself saying, like, guys, like, this is how crazy my life is. It was wild and I did not want to show up today, but I just got 10 minutes of work done, because I know that 10 minutes of work is going to help me so much in the future, right? Sharing something so simple like that can literally show someone that they might be going through, craziness, but they're not going to be alone when they come in this business, and that there's other women who are doing it before them, which means that they can do it too. That gives them the hope and the faith that they can move forward too. Another thing that I share a lot is when I first started, I didn't believe in myself. I didn't love myself. I resented myself for a lot of the things that I didn't do and a lot of the things that I did do, a lot of the mistakes that I made. So I talk about that. I talk about the struggle that I had within myself and what I did to overcome them. Because there's going to be a lot of people who are going to join you. And the reason why they didn't join you fast enough was probably because their lack of belief in themselves. And so if you're sharing consistently every single day, what you're overcoming. Things, I think someone.
When I bought this house from old man.
You got to unmute yourself, Chelsea. Sorry, it mutes everybody when I do that.
That's all right. So sharing the things that you're overcoming. If you're going through a hard time, it's okay to be vulnerable, and it's okay. And I just want to put that out there, because there's so many times where I've had just like a hard time just rolling out of bed in the morning. And I know that there's hundreds of thousands of women who are going through the same exact thing, and they need to know that they're not alone and that they can work this business even though they're going through that. Also, I share stories about me comparing myself to other people, and I will put this on my story. I will literally write out a little post about, it's like a business post, and I will write about how, I compared myself to everyone, and that's what held me back. And the crazy part is that people are constantly telling me when they come in, well, I don't have a story, so how am I supposed to share a story? Guys, you have to know that your biggest, most important part of your story is before you started this business, because people need to relate to you. They need to know where you come from, because if you're on top of that mountain and they've never been there before, how are they supposed to say, oh yeah, I know how that feels, right? No, they have no freaking clue what it looks like to make money from their phone. So you have to be that person who says, well, this is what I went through. These were my objections. These were my struggles before I got started. These were some of the things that I went through. And when you put that into your story, and then you put, this is how I'm overcoming it, and this is what I'm doing daily to make sure that I'm no longer staying right here, they're going to say, okay, well, if Chelsea went through this and she made it to making income from home and being able to be a full-time mom, and I want to be a full-time mom, and I went through those same exact things that Chelsea went through, guess what they're going to do? They're going to start reaching out to you more. They're going to respond to your messages more. They are going to, they're going to get started with you, and they're going to know that they have to do those same exact things that you did along the way. Right. And so making sure that you're being vulnerable at that beginning state of your story, making sure that you're putting out there. And it's okay if you've got a really, really vibrant story that is just, crazy, similar to mine. And it's hard to talk about things like that. Right. But say it in a big way if you have to. Say it in a way where, I went through lack of confidence. Maybe not saying, why, but saying I went through these things is a whole heck of a lot better than not saying anything at all, because then you have to you'll be able to attract people that are just like you. So that's number one. Number two, asking questions to prospect. Guys, I can't even tell you how much this has flipped the script for my business. It's not even funny. I get right down to the nitty gritty asking people questions before they come in, because I do not sign everybody. I do not like having someone come in thinking that they're going to just snap their fingers and be a millionaire in this business. It doesn't work like that. And I think we all have established that at this point. So super important to ask people questions. Who do you want in your business? And once you find out who you want in your business, you can ask questions geared around that. Just to give you guys some examples, I ask questions like, are you a coachable person? Like, are you someone who, if I gave tasks to, could you repeat them every single day? Because that's what we do, right? We go on repeat every single day. We do different things. I ask them, and I'll ask them that specific question. If I gave you tasks, would you be able to stay consistent and do them every single day, even if I'm not around, right? Because I'm not always going to be around. I'm not always going to hold their hand. I can't physically, right? We have huge teams. So the second one is, are you a quick learner and how do you learn best, right? It is so good to know whether someone's a hands-on learner, whether someone likes to watch videos, right? I'm not going to give someone a hands-on task right off the bat if I know that they have to see it before they do it, right? So knowing how your downline learns is super important so that you can connect with that and make sure that you connect the dots for them. Another one that's a good one is when things get hard, are you a person who perseveres or are you willing to get back up when you fall down? Because this business is 80% mindset, 20% skill. So are you willing to grow? Because if you're not going to be on my team because I'm not going to sign you, because you have to make sure that you're showing up for that. And that might be a little crazy to some people, but it's true, right? It's 80%. Like, it's a big chunk of our business is what you tell yourself and what you talk, how you talk to yourself every single day. So I always say that to them. And so that's number 2. Number 3, being relatable in your messages. Sometimes I just send voice messages and I will share a little snippet story. I had some girl earlier this morning write me, and she said that she has fear of failure. And you know what I did? I sent her a voice message asking her if she knew how to ride a bike. She said yes. And I said, okay, have you ever fallen down off a bike before? And she said yes. And I said, what'd you do when you fell off the bike? She said, oh, I got back on. I said, well, yeah, that's what you're going to do in this business, girlfriend. I said it just like that. I said, you're going to get back up and you're going to fall again, and you're going to get back up and you're going to fall again. Does that sound like something you're willing to do? If I say that to them and I'm point blank, say it bluntly, just over a voice message so they can hear how encouraging my voice is, they're going to sign with me over that person who's not willing to do that, right? So I make sure that I'm super relatable. And I even tell them stories sometimes about when I first started. When they say, well, I'm afraid of my family, not supporting me. I tell them flat out, when I got started, my whole family told me I was dumb. My sister looked right at me and told me, when are you going to go get a real job again? And I had no one who wanted to support me. I had 123 friends on Facebook, and that's all I had to work with. I got started and I just had to look for new people. And I tell them, I'm going to teach you how to grow your network. Are you willing to actually apply what I'm teaching you, right? When you ask them those questions one-on-one, they're going to be like, okay, I know what I'm getting myself into before I get started. They need to know this. That's how I signed my first CT. Yes. So you want to make sure that you're super relatable. And if they tell you something, be personal with them. Don't just read off a script consistently. Like, go send them voice messages, write up your own message, respond to what they're actually saying, and get right down to the feeling. How are they feeling before they get started? Because when you get right down to that, then, and you show them, where they are, and you meet them there, you can, then you could share your story and show how you overcame it, and they'll follow you through that. So super important to do that. Making sure you're staying consistent, sharing the business with everyone. That was one of the things I jotted down while, Tanya was talking, was sharing the business with everyone. They're not kidding when they say, ask everyone, talk to everyone, every single way that you can drip the business, just on your story, on your Instagram post, on your Facebook post. Make sure that you're doing that. Make sure if someone asks for you, ask them if they've ever thought about making extra income. If someone likes on your post, I use April Jennings' famous message. She says, hey, thanks for the love on my post. Have you ever thought about doing what I do? Write that down. Go send that message to people who like your post, right? Because even if it's for a homeschooling post, they're still liking and vibing with your stuff. So why not ask them that question You know, have you ever thought about doing what I do? Because they're already loving what you're doing, right? And they see that you're posting about stuff other than just it works, right? So super important to do that. And number 4, show what you're doing every single day with your new distributors. When they get in, you have to understand that no matter if they're just brand new or if they have been in the business for a while, your team will do half of what you do. So if you're coming in and you're showing nothing that you're doing every single day, and I get this all the time, my new distributor is not working for my team. Okay. The reason why they're not working is because you're not showing that you're working. You are, just to be blunt and honest and upfront, you have to show your team what you're doing. So if you're willing to send out 100 messages that day, your team's going to send out 50 or less. So if you want that to increase, or if you like, let's just say you're going and you're like, well, my team's not adding anybody, right? How many people are you adding every single day? You know, if you're saying, you know, my team's not posting or showing up, well, go look at your posts. What are you doing? Right? You have to reflect it on yourself. What are you doing every single day and what are you showing them? So they might see those posts go up, but they're not seeing what's going on behind the scenes. You have to be that leader who shows them what's going on behind the scenes, right from day one all the way up, because they have to know. And it might transition, like right now, for example, I work one-on-one with my new distributors and we have a group chat too. So some of my girls who are leaders who don't need me to hold their hand every single day, they still see what I'm doing because I'm posting in my chat, hey, I'm about to do this, or hey, I did this with a check mark next to it. So they're watching everything that I'm doing so they can copy it, right? And if they're just copying and following along with what I'm doing, then they're going to have success because I'm having success with it, right? So making sure that they're doing that. So maybe asking that question to yourself, what have I really showed my new distributor that I'm doing, right? I might've taught them how to do it, but what are you doing every single day? And are you telling them, this is what I just did. Do you want to match me? Right? So simple. I had this done to me so many times when I first got started, just so I would consistently keep going. And I did. So super important to do that. And then I just want to touch base on boundaries super quick. When you are working your business, right? We are all human, right? We all have busy lifestyles. Tanya's, you know, doing homeschooling and she's branding herself and she's got other stuff that's going on. She's launching some merch. She's got tons of stuff going on. And I've got, you know, crazy life, 2 kids, 3 dogs, a rabbit, 10 fish, you know, just craziness. And Mandy, she's on the road, you know, like she's got her stuff going on. She's, you know, figuring out where she's going next. And, you know, we all have crazy lives. We're not always on our phone. And this is the biggest thing. If you're always on your phone in your business, you're doing it wrong because you don't have to be in this business.
And you're going to burn out.
You're going to burn out.
You're going to burn out.
Yes. And I have done this before. And that's why we're saying that, we're speaking it because we've lived it, guys. Okay. When we first started, we were taught to go. And I know I was, at least it was like, if you're not working, like you were made to feel bad that you weren't working 24/7. Okay.
Yep.
I don't know about you, but my family comes first. My mindset comes first, no matter what. And so, you have to understand that just because you're on your phone doesn't mean your leaders are on their phone 24/7. Okay. And they're working with you, but they're meant to be there with you to guide you, but they're not meant to hold your hand 24/7. It's impossible. Right. So making sure that you're taking care of your mindset first, making sure you're taking care of your family first, making sure your kids are fed first, and then your business, and then your outside ring. And I think there was a time where there was like this little circle ring. We should touch base on that sometimes, but I want to just kind of touch base on that, you know, you want to make sure that you're understanding that.
And you know what? Even if we're not as busy on certain days, we're allowed to not be busy and still not get back to you right away. Like we're allowed to have our own alone time as well, and not have to feel like we're glued to a phone just because we're not quote unquote busy in that moment. So keep that in mind. And the reason that I know the 3 of us are very strict about this, the reason that we're so strict about this though, is because at least me, I've had people come in and be really strong leaders and they work their business just like I did, where they were go, and they burn out and they left. And I don't want to see that happen to any of you guys, because I remember how much it sucked. And I remember how many times I wanted to quit because I thought I had to be on this thing 24/7. This freedom turned into a freaking ball and chain, and I hated it. Because now I would say 90% of it was my fault of not knowing how to manage my time. Now, granted, there was no one like leading me and showing me how to do that, but it was still, at the end of the day, it was my choice to go ahead and work the way that I was working. So you know, take accountability. Yes, maybe no one was teaching us, but we all three know that, you know, we did things the wrong way, and now we're trying to teach you better. And all three of us will own up to like, we've made our own mistakes, and that's why we're trying to help you before you make them. Chelsea already touched on this. Mandy, if you want to add to this also, a few people asked, like, how do you show your people that you're working? And that's a really good question. In the beginning, I didn't know what that looked like. I thought it meant I had to like message every one of my new distributors every time I did anything. And to be honest, it just was overwhelming to me. I typically will pick one day every like 4 or 5 and kind of show a play-by-play in the team chat that we have of what I'm doing. If I do it every day, I get overwhelmed, guys. I don't get as much work done on the days that I do that. I do like vlogs for you guys sometimes that I show like what I'm doing throughout the entire week. Again, you have to find a way that works for you. There's not a right or a wrong. But Julie, I know you're one of the ones that had asked the VIP It Works training page that we run. You guys post in there. You message, 25 people. Hey, just message 25 people. My goal is this much for the day. What are you working on? And so you're just showing up in a way that your new people will see. And I love, Mandy talked about posting. We also need to keep in mind, we're not just posting on our page for our potentials. We're posting for our team. Because once you sign them, you're not done. Like, that's the beginning. So they need to see you in your real life. How are you showing the products on your stories? I just showed you guys like slide by slide how I do, throw the products in there. Part of the reason I'm so consistent is because my new distributors are seeing that, and they go and they model after me. I know, because I used to call the Energy 6 mom crack. One of my new distributors got chewed out because she called it mom crack. I was like, oh, my bad. But you got to know your audience. So not all y'all can like be posting that up in there without somebody being in your DMs. But something that I do is when I sign a customer or a distributor, I take screenshots and I blur out the names and stuff, but I share it into my group chat with voice messages and just walk them through the conversation. And I don't do that every time because, again, I get overwhelmed with it, but I try to do it at least once a week just to kind of show my newbies like, hey, I am not just telling you to use the scripts. Like, I actually use these. Like, I'm actually following the progression. I'm actually doing the follow-up. I'm actually asking the host to post. Like, I'm not just telling you to do the work. I'm doing it alongside with you. So, Mandy, if you want to touch on that, and then with what you're going to talk about as well, but how do you show your new people that you're working, or even your old people that you're working?
Yeah, so it's funny you said that, because I wrote down a note to myself saying that when I went diamond last year, I didn't do it all myself. I had team working with me, but it all fell away really quickly. And it was because I realized that I wasn't showing my team what I was doing. And so I have a daily task list of what I do just in my notes, and I check it off every time I go. But quite often, I will literally go into my team chat and I'll say, okay, I did my journaling and my affirmations. And some of the especially newbies, probably aren't doing personal development beforehand, don't know what affirmations are or anything like that. So I will take a picture of like my I am affirmations, or tell them that if you guys were at a conference, you would have heard her. I think it was Jessica, her name was. And she was saying that all of the things that she thought she wasn't, like she thought she wasn't a good communicator or a good leader or things like that. So she switched them. And so her I am affirmations were all the things opposite to that, saying that I am a good communicator and I am a great leader and people follow me and people want to join me and those kinds of things. But in my chat, I'll go in there in the morning and I'll say, I sent my happy birthday messages. I do, somebody shared, I think April shared it, but it wasn't her that does it. The happy birthday message with the samples, I'm actually getting good response from that. So that's what I do. And then I copy the same thing. Everybody that I'm mutual friends with, I ask them to do a host to post. So what I'll do is, I probably really do this mainly in the mornings, because I try and do this. I have a 6:30 in the morning power hour Zoom with my team. So before I get on that, I try and make sure that I've done my journaling, I've done my affirmations, and I've made my coffee and posted it in my story. And so I'll do what Tonya does and just say, yeah, like sent 30 distributor messages, tick, this was the message that I used. Or maybe you're doing a coffee hosted post right now and it's working really well for you. So I know with my board, with my team, I have about like 4 different scripts for coffee host to post. And so I'm saying to my team, this one's working really well for me. Obviously change it to your name or whatever. Or if you're finding, like Tonya was saying, that she grows her network through groups and stuff like that, and that's working really well for you, then share that with your team. Hey, I went to homeschooling groups, or maybe you're a mom or you have dogs or whatever. I'm live in a van, like Tonya was saying. So something about branding, I'm just going to be like completely open and honest. Branding's been really hard, not hard, but like different for me. So I only just watched because it was like midnight and 2:00 in the morning when conference was on. So I needed to catch up on some sleep. And so I only just went back yesterday and watched the branding thing that Cheyenne and Morgan did. And I had to come up with my pillars, because the worksheet that they had about like, would your family and friends, would your followers on Facebook know like your mum's name, if you have a spouse, your spouse's name, or your kids' names? And I was like, you know what? Probably not. And so I also went on Facebook and I said, what are 3 things that you think of when you think of me? And I think of things when you're branding yourself about, like, I get people tag me in van builds all the time. People used to tag me in pictures of cows because I used to share about cows all the time. And I don't do that very much anymore. And something that somebody put on there as one of my things that they think of when they think of me is independent. And it actually made me step back and realize that all I post about is myself. And it was kind of like a slap in the face, but it was the growth that I needed to learn. Like, I'm like, okay, well, I liked how Morgan and Shay said, like, well, we eat food every single day. Like, to start off with, you can literally be sharing your food and stuff like that. So I came up with my 5 pillars. And what I did was I shared this in my chat as well, so they can see like what I'm posting. This was something from Morgan. And it's so funny because Morgan's like, I'm really strict and I plan my posts, and Shay's like, no, just go on the fly. And I did the Enneagram test the other day to figure out more about myself. And I got my team to do it as well, so that I can find out how to be a leader for them, because I could be completely abrasive and say something really straightforward to one person and they're going to take it and run with it. And I can say the same thing to another person on my team and they might get completely offended and want to quit because I didn't rub them up the right way, if that makes sense. So I got and not everybody has done it, but the girls that are working, I got them to do the Enneagram test so I could go onto Pinterest and find the way they learn best, the way to communicate with them best, trying to grow myself as a leader, because I kind of have felt like a little bit up and down. Like Chelsea was saying, my life is a little crazy right now. Like, if you guys don't know, I spent like $3,000 on my van in 2 months. I was traveling, then I wasn't traveling, and then COVID in Australia, which you guys probably don't know, but like, you can't get in states, you have to get the vaccine, you can't go here, you can't go there, it's so up in the air. And so my traveling thing is kind of like all over the place right now, but I'm sharing all of that as well. Yesterday I literally had the police knock on my door because there's, in the town that I've been staying, I normally, like, early in the morning when I stay with my friend and he goes to work, I just go down the beach by the foreshore. And some precious locals had reported me that I've been camping overnight in a non-camping zone, which is not the case. I was like, no, like, I don't actually sleep here. I just like come here while he's at work and then I go back to his house anyway. But I shared that in my story because it's real life. Like, I share kind of everything. One thing that I don't share a lot about is like probably my family. And, I'll talk about my mum if she's there, but I had my sister come to me. Well, she didn't actually come to me, but when I first started this business, I have like 12 nieces and nephews, you guys, like, my family's huge, but she won't let me post very much about the kids. So I don't post a lot about that. So it really, like, trying to brand yourself, and especially if you're new, this is probably going to be hard. But I had to come back and think about, like, well, what are the things that I like? What am I about? And so my 5 pillars were living van life or traveling, overcoming. I've tried to share I don't know why, but I stopped sharing my story there for a long time, but I was in a really toxic relationship 5 years ago. And so I've talked about that, how I went through surgery 5 years ago and how I was lying to everyone on Facebook as well as myself that I was in this loving relationship with someone that cared about me, when really they were just destroying me in every way that they could. Another one was like journaling and reading, because looking back, and I do that every day, I journal and I read, and that's kind of giving like your potentials. They know that, oh, well, she's probably going to tell me I need a journal, or she's probably going to tell me I need to read a book. So they know that. And then your new distributors that come in, they're going to know, like, well, she's journaling and reading, I should probably journal and read as well. Then I put food on there and friends and family, I think it was, because I do get to see my team sometimes. I was lucky enough that I did have 2 of my girls together. We just hired a hotel for conference and it was really cool. But signing distributors is the same thing. It's about being authentic. One of my girls that joined with me only a couple of weeks ago, she's like, oh, I did my story this morning, but I look like crap. And I'm like, good. Like, I don't want people, and you don't want people joining you that look like I never have it all together, you guys. Like, and I don't wear makeup and I very rarely brush my hair. Like, people know that. So if they see me done up, they're like, whoa, where are you going? What are you doing? Because I want people to know that they don't have to look the perfect part, have the perfect life or anything like that. I'll share, literally, like when the cops knock on my door and tell me that just a precious little locals are worried about you sleeping here. That was really funny, but I had to share it. And then like being relatable and being real. And I'm the same on my Facebook page. I made a post the other day about how I have a savings account now, and it's like 4 figures, which probably isn't a lot to a lot of people. But I know that when I started this business, my account was always in the negatives. And so making that post, one, gave my girls that are on my team already hope that they can have a savings account, and people that are coming in see that you can actually have a savings account. That was kind of all I was going to say. But the biggest thing was sharing what I'm doing, because I know when I went diamond, I think I just bulldozed over my team, and I was like, why aren't you doing what I'm doing? And then I had to take a step back, and I was like, well, Mandy, you didn't teach them what you were doing. And so I try and make a point of that now. I have boards has just changed the game for me, because when I've had new distributors come in now, and if it happens that like I'm driving or I'm with my family or whatever, like I said, I don't have any kids. I've started seeing someone now, and so my time is going elsewhere. But I thought for so long I was that person. You're on your phone, Mandy. You have like all this time in the world. Why aren't you like triple diamond yet? And I'm like, no, like there's so much more to that. You don't need to be on your phone full time. And I've started to get up earlier as well, like Tonya was saying. After like 7 o'clock, I'm like, bye. Okay, like this is my time with my person, and this is my time to eat dinner, and I go to bed really early now, and I'm up at like 5 o'clock. So life is always going to change, but don't feel guilty about that. Like, tell your team, don't just peace out on them and be like, bye. You have to tell them. And I tell my team now, I'm up at 5 o'clock, I'm going to bed now, I'll speak to you in the morning. And if it's something really urgent, the group chats there that I have other leaders, they can kind of help out as well. So yeah.
And guys, you're gonna brand yourself wrong at first. You might have to rebrand a few times. I did. Like I said, I was the hot mess mom first. That was not me. Then I was like, well, I'm gonna be like the keto queen. Girl, that lasted for like a year. I did keto strictly for about a year, but found out real quick I don't really want to do keto, not long term. Like, I like me some bread and some chips and crap. And then I switched from that to homeschooling. So when I switched, how many followers I lost? Like, every day my account was going down, even if I was adding people, because all the people following me for keto recipes didn't give a crap that I was homeschooling my kid. So, it's just you live and you learn. And sometimes you're going to change brands just because your life changes. Like, at some point, probably Mandy's going to go from like the traveling cool person to the mom. Like, I don't know for sure, but probably that's, a typical thing. And she may lose some of those people that were following her for the traveling stuff, because like, I don't care about your kid. I don't want to see that. Like, that's not why I'm following you. So you're going to go through different seasons of life that kind of will make a shift in your brand without you even realizing it. The thing I wanted to touch on, you talked about how you share your stuff. There's a difference between sharing with our teams how we work and showing up as a leader also. And that's something I had to learn. Like, sharing with the teams is kind of the easy part. You just need to make yourself put screenshots or say, hey, I did this. If you want to show up and like show your team that you mean business and you're a leader, honestly, you do need to go live in the team page every once in a while and share something that you've learned. Say, hey, I just watched this video. I'm going to link it in the comments, but I wanted to share these 3 tips real quick. And it's going to feel weird at first. You're going to have all of 2 people watch you, and me or Mandy or Chelsea will probably be one of them, whichever one of us is your leader, just because we're going to be nice. And you're probably not going to be very eloquent, and you're going to stumble, and you're going to have, your phone's going to be down here. So you're going to be like looking up at it. It doesn't matter. When I first started doing videos, I would not get on a video without a Snapchat filter on my face because I was so insecure with how I looked. Or I would get all dolled up to go live in the dang team page for 5 people to watch me because I was too embarrassed to show up like this because I was convinced that I was ugly if I didn't have a bunch of makeup on and my hair done. That developed with the personal development journey, like Chelsea talked about it. If you hadn't, if you don't know us in real life, Chelsea and I are not small girls. Like, we are not size 5 Barbie dolls that came into this business and sold all the skinny things because we were walking around in bikinis. And nothing wrong with that if that is your story, but that's not ours. So I know some of her insecurities was probably a lot of mine. Like, that's a real insecurity when you are in a company that has a bunch of products that are for losing weight. And people are like, how are you why aren't you skinny yet? You know how many people told me that? For a while, I was convinced it was my fault until I had all the doctor's appointments and realized like, oh, there's really something going on behind the scenes. And then, the only products that actually worked and at least started helping with some of those symptoms were the freaking It Works products. So it kind of came around full circle. But I still don't have a story of like, oh, look at me, I lost 200 pounds. So and then, one day we are going to have that story because I know we're both working on our health. We're going to be the ones able to show up and say, hey, look, I lost 150 pounds. And the people like Mandy who don't weigh 150 pounds soaking wet don't have that story. So there are pros and cons to every single person and every story in this. You just have to utilize your story and your before and after in whatever, product or mindset or all of the above. And not compare yourself to the person next to you because you have something that she wishes that she could use and vice versa. Mandy says all the time, like how she is envious of those of us that have kids. We're envious of the one that don't got kids. So it goes both ways. Whatever you think your hindrance is one day going to be your story that someone else is going to be jealous of because now you're able to leverage all the work you put in to get it from point A to point B, and you're going to attract all the other people trying to get to the same point B as you are. So keep that in mind. If you're one of the people that you're really wanting to show up as a leader and you're like, I'm not good enough to get in the team chats, no one's going to take me serious. You're right. Where you are now, you're probably not good enough. That's kind of the point. You have to start showing up as a leader to start learning how to be a better leader. We all did. We all sucked at leading at first. We still suck at times. There are times I tell y'all I'm going to do something and then I don't do it. And then I have to apologize. Or, like the bingo game that I've been posting really consistent, like once a week. That's supposed to be every day. And I just post like 7 times in a row instead of, 1 a day for 7 days. So just fail forward and, we're all going to kind of love you to the end of it. So as long as you're showing and putting your best foot forward, no one's going to judge you for it. That's kind of the point. We're all in different stages of a growth journey. So do either of you guys have anything you want to add? I'm going to check the chat, make sure there's no questions. Most of the questions was about how to show people. Most of the questions were just how to show up as a leader. So I think we all covered that. Okay, I'm going to unrecord. No. So whatever. I've been up a long time. I'm going to hit this button right here.